turnovers early. Not only live ball turnovers end up in baskets, and they're also really deflating.
So we launched an investigation into the Atlanta Hawks team around All-Star, I'd say around All-Star break, just before that. We wanted to see why it is they're in the position that they're in, which is currently 8th spot in the East. I feel like the Atlanta Hawks have the potential to be at least 5th, 6th seed in the East. When you look at their squad, I mean, when you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they have a little bit of everything, in my opinion. They got forwards. They got guys who could shoot, guys who could play defense. They got 2 centers in Okungwu and Capella, who are pretty good centers. They got John Collins, who's supposed to be pretty good. Even DeAndre Hunter. I mean, you could go down the list of the Atlanta Hawks team, and you'd be like, wow, like just on paper, they just look like they should be doing a lot better than they're doing. So we wanted to see what it is they had going on. Since the All-Star break, they had fired Coach Nate McMillan, hired Coach Quinn Snyder, and we were supposed to watch 5 games closely and come back and give our assessment. We had some technical difficulties, so I think it's been 9 games now since the All-Star break. And right after the All-Star break, they were looking pretty good. The first game they played was against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Beat them up pretty good, but I think about, let me see here. That score was 136 to 119. Followed up by Brooklyn Nets. They beat the Nets by 2 points. Then lost to the Washington Wizards by 3, 119 to 116. But followed up beating up on the Portland Trail Blazers, 129 to 111. So 4 games after the All-Star break, all home games. They managed to win 3 of those 4. I would say that, they were looking really good, and I was ready to say, they may be making a turn for the better. Maybe the coach change was exactly what they needed. But then they went on the road, played Miami twice, lost both of those games, which is somewhat understandable. I mean, it is Miami, and it is in Miami. Also, they did follow up by winning 2 in Washington for revenge, which is good because I think they should have won that game when they lost to Washington 119 to 116. So I'm glad they went to Washington and won 2. So I was feeling good. I'm like, you know what? I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Then they had a home game against Boston, lost 134 to 125. Not surprising. I mean, Boston is one of the top teams in the East. I think they're sitting at 2nd place right now in the East. So fine, right? My issue was the last game I have on record, which was against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost by 20 points to the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves don't have Karl Anthony Towns. I tried to watch that game. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch the full game. I still have it recorded. I think I'm gonna try and watch it another time. But just the lack of effort, the body language, it just looked like they weren't sitting in a playoff spot. Like, it looked like they weren't trying to get any higher than 8th spot. I mean, you're knocking on the playoff door. You know what I mean? I'm hearing about locker room issues, but when it comes to, competing, all that stuff should be put to the back, So even that game, I think Trae Young scored 41 points, and he was the highest scorer on the team, obviously, and no one scored even 20 points beside him. So that is terrible. That is terrible. They just signed Bogey they extended his contract 4 more years, but even him in that game against Minnesota, he scored like 2 points. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, Bogey's not a defender, so the least he could do is score some points. I mean, what is 2 points? John Collins gave 5 points. I mean, when I look at the box score from that game, I'm just wondering what it is that the Atlanta Hawks are gonna do moving forward. I mean, even Sadiq Bey, he scored 6 points. I mean, this is terrible. This is terrible. And what I'm seeing Atlanta Hawks team that's gonna look a lot different next year. I think a lot of guys are gonna be moved around. The coach won't be going anywhere because I feel like the coach is locked in. I feel like they're confident with the coach they have right now, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna work on the squad. So this is still an open case. We're gonna watch closely. I'm gonna really start watching their games more closely because I haven't been. The only game I really got to see was the Minnesota game. So we're gonna watch their games a lot more closely, see what it is they got going on. I feel like they could, if they keep playing like this, they're gonna slide down to probably like 10th spot in the East, and they'll be clawing to get in the playoffs, which they could possibly get in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a play-in game and get in the playoffs, but then what will happen then? You know? And I'm not gonna say it's all over, because you never know. Teams have a way of getting everything together right when the playoffs come, and then next thing you know, they look like a totally different team than what they looked like when before the playoffs. So that's possible with the Atlanta Hawks too. They could get things sorted out before the playoffs and start clicking. You never know. It's possible. But we will be watching closely, and we got our technical difficulties sorted out, so we will be coming at you with more content more consistently. So for now, I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.